the Golden Slipper. This race is special for jockeys, trainers, owners and breeders. This race is about prize money and prestige, but it's much more than that. This race is a life changer. For a jockey, you win this race and your name goes alongside the greats of the turf.
I was born out west, grew up dreaming about this race. Often racing. It was my first major back in 2013 and helped launch my career.
But Overreach, a class above them, and Overreach wins the slipper.
And to win this race 3 times was life-changing.
And stay inside, Tommy Merry wins his 3rd Golden Slipper.
This race has shaped the Australian thoroughbred breeding landscape.
The Widden Valley is famous for producing slipper champions and then turning them into successful sires. Todman, Vane, Marsgate and Stratum, they all stood at Widden and they've all sired Golden Slipper winners.
Vic Marsgate coming away to record a brilliant slipper win.
This race has changed the fortunes and the history of Widden Stud.
Everyone dreams of winning a Golden Slipper, and our special colt Sebring did just that.
Sebring on the inside, they hit the line locked together. Might be Sebring.
I bought him for $130,000 and the owners sold him for a massive sum to Widden Stud. That's the definition of an absolute life changer.
In 2017, a bargain buy changed our lives and put Derby racing on the map.
She will ride in front. The $20,000 filly's got the slipper won. She will ride, baby.
Her owners included electricians, footy mates, coal miners, and some of them even paid off their house. Geez, a lot of lives were really changed that day.
This race will continue to transform the breeding industry well into the future.
This race, it means everything to us.
Capitalist, the Magic Millions winners, drawn clear in the slipper.
Whilst we've already been involved with 2 slipper winners, it's all about finding the next superstar. That's the reason we're in this business. We're here to find the next breed shaper, the next life changer.
Today at Rosehill Gardens, trainers, jockeys, breeders, bloodstock agents and owners assemble for the world's richest 2-year-old race. Everyone wants to win this race. It's the Golden Slipper, and someone's life is about to change.
Says it all, doesn't it? And Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott nominated 159 horses for the Slipper. They've got 3 runners today. It's exceptional. That's how hard it is to get a runner in this race, which is a gold medal for so many people, for so many different reasons in Australian racing. Lizzie, for many, it's the best day of racing for the year.
It certainly is the best day of racing for the year. Of 5 Group 1s on offer, but as you heard in that opener, it is life-changing. It doesn't matter if you've won it before. It is something that is quite iconic in this country, and it's everyone who is in this race today wants to win that trophy, the Golden Slipper. And what it means it's life-changing, and that is what they're here to do. But not only that, we've got 4 other Group 1s on the card, $10 million in prize money. Private Harry, he's an excitement machine. Wotan, well, he will certainly be life-changing. And then we've got races like the RANVET, where Via Sistina is potentially going to make that Group 1 record even bigger, and the Rosehill Guineas. So much to look forward to, Bruce.
McDonald's and Freedman's know all about Golden Slippers, don't they? Let's join Katie and Emma today for our track report. Em.
Welcome to Rosehill Gardens, where we're racing on a good 4 today, rail out 3 metres. And we talk about last weekend, Katie, when the rail was off. Your thoughts on the track today?
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it, Em? Because they came down the centre last week, but the track was quite firm. So the rail is out for 3 metres. Again, it's rattling. It's quite firm out here, so maybe even an upgrade early on in the program, seeing how the races play. But it's in top order. They've got great grass cover. What a day we have in store. 5 big Group 1s, and of course, the Mac Daddy of them all for the 2-year-olds, the Golden Slipper.
We cannot wait for it. So beautiful conditions here today. Sunny skies, not a breath of wind. We are racing on a tip-top surface.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, isn't it? And then you've got the Chris Waller factor with these Yulong mares. So let's have a look where Via Sistina came to Australia. 5 wins from 13 starts, 1 Group 1. Now have a look at the comparisons. Moria we're going to see in a couple of weeks' time, or maybe next week. 17 starts, 7 wins, 1 Group 1. And Full Count Felicia, who goes today, 19 starts, 7 wins, 1 Group 1. You just can't help, Richo, but feel like there's such a comparison there, isn't there? And then Via Sistina does this since then.
It's quite remarkable, isn't it, what Via Sistina has done since she's arrived in Australia. She's now won $9 million, and most Group 1s in a season led by the freak that is Winks. Well, Via Sistina looking for number 6, joins an unbelievable list there.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's in rare air, and Chris Waller's always off to a great start. Katie, Richo put together something really interesting. We're going to go back to you, Richo. This is fascinating, mate.
Yeah, well, that's this century. Now, they're all on the one day, and we know in the past there has been different races moved around, but they're all on one day, and Chris has won behind Gay. Gay's got the big advantage of the slipper, and then Chris fights back with the George Ryder. Gay's got a couple extra RANVETs. That was before Chris was training pre-century, but oh, that's interesting, isn't it? The Waller versus Waterhouse little clash. And for Yulong, haven't they got some hand today?
They sure have, Katie. They spread it around the trainers, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And whether it be Melbourne or Queensland and here in Sydney, we see the horses, they move around a lot, of course, with Angel Capital now with Chris Waller as well. So, yeah, it's a big day for Yulong and Mr. Zhang, and Damien Lane, of course, a big day for him. We haven't seen him here at Rosehill since last Golden Slipper last year. So get to know a little bit about him, and his favourite horse is Liz Crusher, of course, with the Cox Plate hero. Biggest inspiration there, Damien Oliver, of course, the 2 Perth boys.
And in the triathlon tomorrow, believe it or not, into the mounting yard, and Lizzie's with a horse who really made his name last year in Faulkner Park.
This guy is the one I think can run really well today. He was brilliant first up into the preparation. So much so that they've stayed at the 2,000 metres, well, stepped up to the 2,000 metres instead of going towards the Tancred, which you would have thought would have been his optimum trip. Looking at the way that he presents today, if he gets a bit of speed on, you're going to see him rattling home late, and it could be certainly on for young and old in the concluding stages with the way that this guy presents.
2 years ago, the Rosehill Guineas was won by this bloke, Lindemann. He's on the back up. I like that, Katie.
Yeah, look, he ran well last week. He went around $1.75 favourite, and Vauban, the old boy, got over the top of him. But you're right, he's on the back up. He looks in great order. It was awfully hot last week, and another hot day to contend with. But I'm sure he will definitely be making his presence felt here. He'll go forward.
Can't wait to have a look at this bloke. And Lizzie's walking alongside the William Haggis-trained Alma here.
Well, this is a real contest. We know how William Haggis prepares his horses, especially for a Sydney Autumn Carnival attempt. And I'm just walking ahead of him because he actually turns in a touch towards me. So I'm just going to walk out of the way so you can have a look at this galloper, Bruce and Katie, because he is really nice. He's got a lot of athleticism. You can see he's got good strength on him. He's very much a bit more agitated than what I've seen of some of these imports in the past. But what we do know is they grow a leg when they run first up into the preparation, and he just looks primed and ready to go.
He's the only stallion out there, so pretty interesting stuff with a couple of quality mares. Golden Park's been thrown in the pretty big deep end this prep. He's going okay.
Yeah, he is. He's not been beaten all that far, and I think he is ridden a little bit too close, so they'll look to try and find and take a sit, try and find some cover today, and he'll get his opportunity. It's just whether or not he is good enough. And how does the big girl look, Lizzie?
Candice, I'm very well. I've been very fortunate to walk alongside some very nice horses with amazing credentials, and this is one of them who's been added to the list. She's an absolute powerhouse. I remember looking at her first run in this race last year, and I thought to myself, oh, look, there's a bit of improvement. She's no oil painting in her. But what I've grown to realise with her is that she's actually such a big, powerful walker, athlete at time and time again when you look at her. And Chris has managed to unbelievably improve her since she's been in Australia. She's spot on for today, and as you mentioned, Bruce, to me earlier, she's no doubt Australian Horse of the Year.
Yep, no question about that, Lizzie. And what about this one, Full Count Felicia? So she's won the most important race in Canada, Group 1. Her form reads so similarly in a way in terms of quality to Via Sistina last year.
Yeah, she's got a funny style. She runs along. When she won that Group 1, she was nearly a furlong in front. She was a little bit like Pride of Jenny. I don't think they'll go crazy on her today, and they will be running well. Ali, can you give us a market?
Well, Katie, as expected, it's absolutely one-way traffic for Via Sistina. She's into $1.22 and has over 90% of the money invested here. She is so well fancied, in from $1.30 already, and a stack of all-ups running in from Autumn Glow as well. Lindemann has been 10 out to 11. There's been no support really for these imports. Full Count Felicia being the first of those. And Chris Waller, interesting on radio this morning, just saying he won't test her too much today. 10 out to 12. Faulkner Park has been 12 to 13. Alma Beer 7.50 to 13. And then, would you believe it, there's been a little bit of money for Golden Path down the very bottom. 51s, 41s now into $31. But guys, it's absolutely one-way traffic for Via Sistina. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website. And how's this for a bit of fun? A little bit of a mix-up for your day at the races. We heard the plane soaring over. They asked me to go up and I said, no, thank you. I'll keep my feet firmly on the ground as they do some loops. M. Friedman might have been in there at one point, I feel, but this was some excitement earlier. Our tab takeover with the special boost coming up for the Golden Slipper, and we painting the town green today, as you say, or Rosehill green, as it were. Everywhere you turn, it's tab green. So speaking of Via Sistina, there she is. May the green continue.
Spectacular and terrifying at the same time, Ali, was that plane. She is spectacular but not terrifying is Annabelle Neesham, and she has the wonderful Faulkner Park in this event. And I tell you what, first up, he just ran a bottler. I thought he was going to win at one point.
Yeah, so did I, and he almost got held up momentarily, but yeah, finishing on Fangirl's quarters, only beaten 2 lengths, first up over a mile in that opposition's certainly given us a lot to look forward to today.
Small field, so it's tactical. How do you see the race unfolding? Of course, he technically gets back, runs on. Hopefully he doesn't find too much trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I think it will be a tactical race. Obviously, Chris has got the 3 runners, so he almost holds the cards, really. But I just said to Tyler, you know, ride your horse in his rhythm. You know, he's never normally the quickest away, but it's a small field and he's got a really good turn of foot. So we know he loves Rosehill. Look, the favourite's going to be mightily hard to beat, but I think he's going really, really well, this horse. And what I've seen of him at home's the best we've seen of him yet. So I'm excited to see what he can do today.
And that's why you've opted to go here instead of next week. Annabelle just told me that she rarely gets nervous, but there's a few butterflies lingering around today, are there?
Yeah, I did say that. I've got a little bit of a butterfly. When you're in these big races, there's a big atmosphere and you've got a horse with a live chance. It's exciting and nerve-wracking, but yeah, the original plan was to maybe run in the Sky High last week and then the Tancred, but his work's been a bit sharper, and that first up run over a mile probably showed, you know, that he was a bit sharper this time in. So look, we'll give him his chance. We'll see where he stands today. If he's in the mix against these horses, then, you know, we'd probably be looking towards the Queen Elizabeth. But today, I suppose, is his audition to do that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Who's the pick of the yard, Lizzie?
With Via Sistina, but I tell you what, I give him a really good chance at Faulkner Park. I thought he presented really nicely. I tried to find something that paraded better than her, but I think it was a better parade from her. Well, probably the best parade I've seen of her. She hasn't turned a hair. Her coat's beautifully rich and healthy, big stride on her, and overall I think she looks in great order. Market mover, Ali?
Liz, you don't need me to tell you that $1.22 favourite with 90% of the investment is the market mover. So instead, I've gone with Golden Path, who's the only other one they've had some sort of investment on. The imports are unwanted here.
Well, she just dumped Nash, we're told. Nash has just got back on Full Count Felicia. Richo, in a word or two?
Well, and Full Count Felicia will set the tempo. Go back and have a look at her performance in Canada. She can fly in front, Bruce.
Great highlight. Anytime Via Sistina steps out, we watch. It's the RANVET Stakes.
And the starter says go in the RANVET Stakes, and jumping well towards the inside, Full Count Felicia. Golden Path away well, Lindemann away well. Via Sistina just flops in behind them, and so does Faulkner Park in the early stages, with Alma Beer just 3 horses wide now, 2 horses wide. So Full Count Felicia in front in the early stages, with Lindemann striding up on the outside. So National Willer in the seat here on the American mare. Full Count Felicia shows the way, and Lindemann, who's usually ridden by Nash, is going to take a sit in second spot. Golden Path third. Via Sistina moves to fourth now from Alma Beer, and a length off to Faulkner Park as they work down the back. And the Glamour Mare from America, Full Count Felicia, now with Yulong Australia, shows the way by 2. Lindemann in second position, and Via Sistina inching a bit closer on the inside of Golden Path. Alma Beer ridden with restraint, and Faulkner Park is happy to sit back last of all. So Full Count Felicia leading as expected. Inside the halfway mark at a controlled pace by National Willer. Full Count Felicia by 2.5 to Lindemann. Golden Path in third, just as Via Sistina locked up momentarily on the rails. 3/4 to Alma Beer, and Faulkner Park last about 6 off the lead. So Full Count Felicia free striding in the lead at the 750 by 2 on Lindemann second, then Golden Path, Via Sistina, Alma Beer, and Faulkner Park is last of all. So Full Count Felicia at the 450 leads the way from Lindemann, and now McDonald peels 3 wide on Via Sistina. Into the straight now. Lindemann got the better of Full Count Felicia, but here comes Via Sistina roping in Lindemann. Faulkner Park going to third, but Via Sistina rests the lead now from Lindemann. Inside the 150, Faulkner Park goes to third, but Via Sistina celebrating her anniversary with 7 Group 1s in Australia. The greatest in the land, Via Sistina. Won it by 2 lengths to Lindemann. Faulkner Park at odds runs third, and Full Count Felicia and needed the Australian hit out fourth. A gap to Golden Path, and Alma Beer was last in.
Oh, remarkable mare, isn't she? Beautiful ride, everything worked well. J-Mac continues to chase down Damien Oliver and George Moore. This filly's chasing down Winks in one season, isn't she? And it all started on this day last year.
Yeah, she's indestructible, isn't she? She's a massive, massive horse. And a couple of times we sort of thought mid-race, you're on the fence, you're following Lindemann, and if he were to stop, you know, Golden Path was keeping him in a pocket, but she just bullocks her way out. She's too big, too strong, and what a win.
She's quite remarkable. What I mentioned about Chris, what he's been able to do, he has actually improved her. I remember we were looking at her in the RANVET this time last year, and yes, she was a very talented racehorse, but the improvement that I've seen physically in her is quite remarkable, and she keeps making every post a winner, and Chris Waller is once again with M.
Happy anniversary for Via Sistina. Yeah. Her debut victory in this country was on this day last year, and she does it again. She just seems to keep improving. Congratulations, because I mean, she's a wonderful mare, but it's you and your training team, what you're putting into her, you're getting out now.
Well, she lit up our lives, as you said, 12 months ago today. We didn't know what we had coming out of quarantine, and obviously we had a good article and a good horse to work with, and a very supporting team with Yulong. They're really making a statement in Australian racing, and we're lucky enough to get some support from them. So back to the horse, like, she is a star. She's a lovely, big, unassuming horse, but come race day she really turns it on, and we don't dare light her up in the mornings because what she's capable of, like, she's a real powerhouse. And her track rider Chris Harwood, he said, oh, if we get her flying one day, she might just keep going, as we saw at Moonee Valley one. So yeah, she's a gentle giant that graces the turf.
I think that's fascinating because you see her in the parade ring as well. She's pretty calm, cool and collected there, but then when she gets James or Chris on her back, she goes, I know my job, I know what I've got to do here.
Yeah, it's a good recipe to have. Save it in training sessions and deliver race day. So yeah, it's a privilege for me to be training.
You're owning today already, congratulations.
Far from it. Never think you own the racetrack. That's my motto. So we're having a great day. We're standing up and cheering in a few of the races, but a long way to go.
Well done.
Thanks.
Terrific stuff. So there hasn't been a better import come to Australia to be trained by an Australian ever. She's got a better record than any of them. We've had some beauties over the years, some absolute stars, but none have achieved what this mare has done. 7 Group 1s in Australia, 8 in total. She will be the horse of the year. She's the #1 horse in the country right now.
Bruce, she's also strapped by Winks's strapper as well, Candy. So I remember her saying to me when she was walking around the yard before Queen Elizabeth, she said, this is as good a horse as Winks was. Can we put her in that category?
Well, she's still got 17 Group 1s to go, but she's
a little bit though.
She's moving in the right direction.
She's going in the right direction.
She's moving in the right direction. There's only one Winks, but that's okay. J-Mac rode Winx once, but we're not going to go there. This would be... James has got so many special horses. So many special horses. And Emma, this is one of them.
He does indeed, and I wonder where she ranks in those special horses, because at the moment, James, she is the best horse in the country. A privilege to ride her when it comes to the Group 1s. Where does she rank in your Great 1s?
Oh, she's well up there, that's for sure. She's definitely good. Takes a good one to beat the big boy, though, but she's well up there, and she turns up each and every time, which I'm so proud of her, because it could have been like, if she was going to get beat, it could have been easily a race like this. A little bit tricky, but as we've seen, she's getting more versatile. And felt like it was a mile race. She was really tanking up, and hence the beat of sweat, so I've earned my money.
You look towards her big grand final in a few weeks' time. She's going to be mighty hard to beat there. I know you don't ride her each and every day in work, but what she shows you at home, I mean, she's on track to have the best preparation of her life.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Harwood does a really good job, because, as it was well documented, she was supposed to gallop here last Saturday. I wouldn't have had the strength to hold her, because she just tanks around. So Chris does a good job, same with all the other guys there. He's got a fantastic team there, and they work the horses brilliantly, so they don't need my help, but it's nice to be partnering them on race day, and it's a really good feeling.
Group 1, number 113, maybe a few more. Off he goes to get ready for the next Group 1 on the card, Bruce.
Oh, what a star he is, James McDonald. A lot to talk about out of Via Sistina, but...
Still one race to come, but we look back at the headline moments, and the Golden Slipper, always to remember. What a great finish.
Yeah, it sure was. It was high speed up front, and we saw Belazane take it up there, and Damien Lane on Mahuna just smoked the pipe in behind them and produced this filly. Having her first preparation, they were coming at her strong, but she was on the up, and such a gutsy performance.
So for Damien Lane, a second one, and for Michael Friedman, a second one, and the first one in his own right, but he shared it with Richard, and of course he's been involved with Lee. And then we came to the RANVET, and Richo, this is the star of the day, isn't she, in so many ways, in terms of the single great horse in Australia right now.
And what a CV she's putting together, Bruce. But this is the question that many people will be thinking about Via Sistina as we reflect on broadsiding as well. Did she scare anyone off? Or is everyone keen to still have a crack at her in the Queen Elizabeth? I don't reckon she scared anyone off. I reckon it's game on.
Well, that's what we want to hear, and she didn't blow them away, but she did win with a lot of authority. Private Harry continues to amaze, doesn't he, Katie?
Yeah, he does. His first crack at a Group 1, and he did it with ease to provide Nathan Dunn and Ash Morgan, his jockey, their first Group 1, and they enjoyed every single moment of it.
There were some great finishes today, Richie. I'm not sure there was a better one than we had in the rider today, because there were not 2 but 3 chances. That beautiful moment there with Ash, as Katie was talking about. But this looked a great race, Richard. 10 Group 1 winners going into the race, and how many coming out, mate?
Yeah, that's right. The extra one. The only one that hadn't won a Group 1 was Gringotts, and got it right on the line in a driving finish. Chairwolf and Fangirl fans were beaten today, but by gee, they ran superbly, and that was a great moment. Well done, Tommy. Welcome back to the Group 1 club.
This was a superb ride by James McDonald, because he had to make a big decision early. He did get trapped wide early, but then he got in, and this was a driving finish again, wasn't it?
Yeah, another stunning performance from a really special colt, and they were coming at him hard, but he's so brave. You can see him really pin his ears back and have a good old crack and get another Group 1 on his CV. He's building and building in the filly. Gee, she got close.
She sure did. And Richo, talking about good 3-year-old fillies, and we've got a few, like a Lucy today wins the New Zealand Oaks. She's only been beaten once, and she's on her way to Australia, isn't she?
She's on the way to Australia, and she's on the way to Chris Waller, and no doubt she's probably on the way to James McDonald, who continues this unbelievable season. So she was about $1.30 or $1.24. It was a narrow victory, but onwards towards...